Gentlemen, what if I told you that the way you've been drinking water your entire life, something you thought was healthy and necessary, is actually destroying your bladder function, training it to become overactive and hypersensitive, creating that constant urgent need to urinate that's controlling your life, and potentially setting you up for permanent bladder dysfunction that even medications can't fully fix? I'm Dr. Katherine Miller, specialist in men's health and vitality, with over 12 years helping gentlemen like you understand that bladder problems aren't just about your prostate or your age. They're often about the hydration habits you've developed that are systematically damaging your bladder's normal function. And today, we need to have an urgent conversation about the 5 most common water drinking mistakes that are literally training your bladder to malfunction. Because here's the truth that most doctors never explain clearly: your bladder is trainable. The patterns you establish through how and when you drink water directly determine whether your bladder functions normally or becomes overactive, hypersensitive, and dysfunctional. Get your hydration timing wrong, and you create urgency, frequency, and nighttime disasters that steal your sleep and freedom. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal could be the missing piece that explains why you're constantly searching for bathrooms, why you can't sleep through the night, and why your bladder seems to control you instead of you controlling it. If you want more men to understand that their bladder problems might be caused by how they're drinking water, hit that like button right now and subscribe, because we're exposing the hydration mistakes that are creating unnecessary suffering for millions of men. Let me start with the frustrated question I hear constantly. Dr. Miller, I'm 61 years old and I can't go more than an hour during the day without needing to urinate. At night, I'm up 4 to 5 times. My doctor checked my prostate and said it's only mildly enlarged, not enough to explain my symptoms. He wants to put me on bladder medications, but I'm wondering, could I be doing something that's making this worse? I drink a lot of water because I've always been told to stay hydrated. Could the way I'm drinking be part of the problem? This question reveals something most men never consider. They've developed hydration habits based on generic advice like drink 8 glasses a day or stay hydrated, without understanding that how and when you drink water matters far more than how much you drink. And these patterns, repeated thousands of times, have trained their bladders to become dysfunctional. Let me explain what's really happening. Your bladder is a muscular organ designed to store urine and signal you when it reaches comfortable capacity, typically around 300 to 400 milliliters. But your bladder has remarkable neuroplasticity. It learns from repetition. The patterns you establish become hardwired. When you drink water in ways that repeatedly stimulate your bladder before it's actually full, you're teaching it to signal urgency at lower and lower volumes. Over months and years, you've essentially trained your bladder to panic at the slightest sensation of filling. That's why you feel desperate urgency when there's barely any urine present. A groundbreaking study published in Neurourology and Urodynamics used bladder diaries and ultrasound measurements to track men with overactive bladder symptoms. The shocking finding: most men experiencing urgent needs to urinate had less than 150 milliliters in their bladders, less than half of normal capacity. Their bladders weren't full. They were hypersensitive and dysfunctional from years of poor hydration habits. Now, before I reveal the 5 deadly hydration mistakes, let me share the 3 myths about water drinking that are causing massive problems for men's bladder health. Myth number 3: you should drink 8 glasses of water every day regardless of circumstances. This one-size-fits-all recommendation ignores your activity level, climate, body size, and existing bladder function. For men with overactive bladders, drinking this much water, especially distributed poorly throughout the day, creates constant bladder irritation and worsens symptoms. Research shows that optimal hydration varies dramatically between individuals. Some men function perfectly on 6 glasses, others need 10. The key isn't a magic number, it's drinking enough to maintain pale yellow urine without creating constant bladder filling. Myth number 2: you should drink water constantly throughout the day to stay hydrated. This is one of the most destructive pieces of advice for bladder health. When you sip water constantly all day long, you create a situation where your bladder never fully empties and never fully fills. It's in constant flux, which trains it to become hypersensitive. Your bladder functions best with clear fill and empty cycles. Fill to comfortable capacity, empty completely, repeat. Constant sipping destroys this natural rhythm. Myth number 1: drinking lots of water before bed helps you stay hydrated overnight. This is pure insanity for men with any bladder issues. Drinking significant water within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime guarantees multiple nighttime awakenings as your kidneys process that fluid while you're trying to sleep. Studies show that men who stop fluid intake 2 hours before bed reduce nighttime urination by an average of 40% compared to men who drink up until bedtime. Now let me reveal the 5 deadly water drinking mistakes that are destroying your bladder function. Deadly mistake number 5. The evening hydration disaster. This is probably the most common mistake I see. Men go through their day somewhat dehydrated because they're busy and forget to drink. Then in the evening, they realize they haven't had much water, so they try to catch up by drinking large amounts between 6 p.m. and bedtime. Here's what happens. Your kidneys process this fluid over the next several hours. By the time you fall asleep, your bladder is already filling. Within an hour or two, you're waking up to urinate. Then again and again. You've guaranteed yourself a terrible night's sleep. One of my patients, Richard, age 67, was drinking almost nothing during the day, then consuming 4 to 5 glasses of water between dinner and bed because he'd heard he needed to stay hydrated. He was getting up 5 to 6 times per night. When we shifted his hydration to front-load the day, stopping all fluids by 7 p.m., he dropped to 1 to 2 nighttime trips within 1 week. The research is clear. A study in the Journal of Urology found that fluid intake timing had a greater impact on nighttime urination frequency than total daily fluid volume. Men who consumed 70% of their fluids before 6 p.m. had dramatically fewer nighttime bathroom trips than men who drank evenly throughout the day. Deadly mistake number 4, the just-in-case pee pattern. This is the habit of urinating every time you pass a bathroom, whether you need to or not, just in case. You're about to leave the house, even though you went 20 minutes ago. You're getting in the car, even though you have no urge. You see a bathroom at the mall, so you use it even though you don't feel any need. This habit is absolutely devastating for bladder function. Here's why. Your bladder learns from repetition. Every time you urinate when there's very little urine present, you're teaching your bladder that this low volume is an appropriate signal to feel urgent. Over time, your bladder becomes conditioned to scream emergency at volumes that should barely register. Research from the International Continence Society shows that men who frequently engage in just-in-case urination develop significantly worse urgency and frequency over time, compared to men who only urinate in response to genuine moderate to strong urges. Your bladder needs to learn to hold comfortably up to 300 to 400 milliliters. If you constantly empty it at 50 to 100 milliliters, you're training dysfunction into the system. Deadly mistake number 3, chugging large amounts rapidly. Many men drink very little for hours, then when they finally drink, they chug an entire large glass or bottle rapidly. This creates a sudden fluid bolus that your system has to process, causing rapid bladder filling and urgent need to urinate within 30 to 60 minutes. Your kidneys work most efficiently with steady, consistent fluid intake, not massive boluses followed by long dry periods. When you chug, you create dramatic fluctuations that train your bladder to respond urgently to sudden filling. A study in clinical physiology found that men who consumed fluids in smaller amounts spread throughout the day had more stable bladder filling patterns and less urgency compared to men who consumed the same total volume in large, rapid doses. Before we continue with the remaining mistakes, I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes have you been making? Write number 1 if you drink a lot in the evening, number 2 if you do just-in-case pees, or number 3 if you tend to chug water rapidly. This helps me understand how common these patterns are. Deadly mistake number 2, drinking water with meals, especially dinner. When you drink large amounts of water with meals, particularly dinner, you're adding fluid volume on top of the fluid from your food. This creates excessive total fluid load that your bladder has to handle over the next few hours. Additionally, drinking large amounts with meals dilutes your digestive enzymes and can impair proper digestion, leading to other issues. But from a bladder perspective, the problem is timing. Dinner is typically 6 to 8 p.m. for most men. Add large water consumption, and you're processing that fluid right when you're trying to wind down for sleep. The solution isn't to avoid fluids with meals entirely. Small amounts are fine. The solution is to avoid large glasses of water with dinner. If you're thirsty with meals, small sips are sufficient. Do your main hydration earlier in the day when you can process it without impacting sleep. Deadly mistake number 1, the constant sipping habit with water bottles. This is the most insidious and increasingly common mistake, especially with the prevalence of carrying water bottles everywhere. Men sip constantly throughout the day, every few minutes, maintaining a steady trickle of fluid entering their system. This creates several problems. First, your bladder never experiences proper fill-empty cycles. It's constantly receiving input, creating a state of perpetual mild filling that trains hypersensitivity. Second, constant sipping often leads to overhydration, where you're consuming far more than your body actually needs, creating excessive urine production. Third, and most damaging, constant sipping creates a psychological dependency where you feel you must always have water available, cannot go anywhere without it, and become anxious if you can't sip constantly. This anxiety itself worsens bladder symptoms. Research published in the British Journal of Urology tracked men with overactive bladder symptoms who engaged in constant water sipping versus those who drank in discrete sessions. The constant sippers had urgency episodes 63% more frequently and rated their quality of life significantly worse. Your bladder functions best when you drink a reasonable amount, 6 to 12 ounces. Wait until your body processes it, then drink again when genuinely thirsty. This creates clear cycles that maintain normal bladder function. Now let me share 3 patient transformations that show how powerful correcting these mistakes can be. Case 1. Michael, age 58. Michael came to me with severe urgency and frequency. He was urinating 12 to 15 times daily and 4 to 5 times nightly. He carried a water bottle everywhere and sipped constantly. He also did just-in-case pees before leaving anywhere. And he drank heavily in the evening because he'd heard hydration was important. We completely restructured his hydration. No more constant sipping, discrete drinking sessions, 8 ounces every 2 to 3 hours during the day, front-loaded hydration, most before 4 p.m., no fluids after 7 p.m., and no more just-in-case urination, only when he felt moderate to strong urge. The first week was challenging as his bladder adjusted. But by week 2, his daytime frequency dropped from 12 to 15 times to 7 to 8 times. By week 4, he was down to 6 times daily and 1 to 2 times nightly. At 8 weeks, his bladder had retrained to normal function. He told me, "I spent 3 years suffering, trying medications. Simply changing how I drank water solved what nothing else could." Case 2. Robert, age 65. Robert's main problem was nighttime urination, 5 to 6 times per night. During the day, he was fine. The pattern? He barely drank anything during his workday, then came home and consumed massive amounts between 6 p.m. and bedtime to catch up. We implemented strict evening cutoff. His last meaningful fluid intake was 6 p.m. After that, only small sips if absolutely necessary. We increased his daytime hydration to compensate. Within 10 days, his nighttime trips dropped from 5 to 6 to 2 to 3. By 1 month, he was sleeping through most nights with just 1 trip. Simple timing change, life-changing results. Case 3. David, age 72. David had developed such severe urgency that he couldn't be more than 5 minutes from a bathroom. He urinated before leaving his house, then again as soon as he arrived anywhere. Classic just-in-case pattern. His bladder had learned that tiny volumes required immediate emptying. We implemented bladder retraining. When he felt mild urge, he practiced waiting 10 minutes before going. He only urinated in response to moderate or strong urges, never just in case. He maintained hydration with discrete 8-ounce servings, not constant sipping. The first 2 weeks were difficult as his bladder relearned normal capacity. But by week 3, he was able to wait longer between bathroom trips. By week 8, he could go 2 to 3 hours comfortably. By 12 weeks, his urgency was 80% improved, and he'd regained the freedom to go places without anxiety. He said, "I'd accepted that I'd be a prisoner to my bladder for the rest of my life. Retraining it gave me my life back." Now let me give you the complete bladder healthy hydration protocol that fixes all these mistakes. The Bladder Healthy Hydration Protocol. Morning hydration, 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is your primary hydration window. Consume 40 to 50% of your daily fluid during these hours. Start your day with 8 to 12 ounces of water upon waking. This jumpstarts your system and begins healthy bladder filling. Then, drink 8 ounces every 2 to 3 hours during the morning. By noon, you should have consumed 24 to 32 ounces. This front-loading ensures you're well hydrated while giving your body plenty of time to process fluids before evening. Afternoon hydration, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Consume another 30 to 40% of your daily fluid during afternoon hours. Continue the pattern of 8 ounces every 2 to 3 hours. Your last substantial fluid intake should be around 5 to 6 p.m. By 6 p.m., you should have consumed 40 to 56 ounces total for the day, which is adequate for most men's hydration needs. Evening restriction, 6 p.m. to bedtime. This is critical. After 6 p.m., minimize fluid intake. Small sips, if you're genuinely thirsty with dinner, are acceptable, but no large glasses. Absolutely no fluid after 8 p.m. unless you're taking medications that require water. This evening restriction allows your kidneys to process the day's fluids before sleep, dramatically reducing nighttime urination. Drinking technique. Discrete sessions, not constant sipping. When you drink, consume 6 to 10 ounces at once in a discrete session. Then wait. Don't carry a water bottle and sip constantly. Drink, wait 2 to 3 hours, drink again. This creates proper fill-empty cycles for your bladder. Eliminate just-in-case urination completely. Only urinate when you feel a moderate to strong urge. If you're leaving the house and only feel a mild sensation, resist the urge to go just in case. Your bladder needs to learn to hold comfortably to normal capacity. Bladder training component. When you feel mild urgency, practice waiting 10 to 15 minutes before going. This gradually increases your bladder's capacity and reduces hypersensitivity. Over weeks, you'll be able to wait progressively longer, retraining normal function. A comprehensive study in the Journal of Urology on bladder training found that men who practiced this technique for 8 weeks increased their average bladder capacity by 40% and reduced urgency episodes by 52%. Total daily fluid targets. For most men, 48 to 64 ounces daily is adequate, possibly more if you're very active or in hot climates. But the total matters far less than the timing and pattern. Front-loaded, discrete sessions with evening restriction will transform your bladder function regardless of whether you consume 50 or 70 ounces. Now let me address the most common questions and concerns. Question 1. Won't I be dehydrated if I stop drinking in the evening? No. If you're adequately hydrated throughout the day, your body doesn't need significant fluid in the evening. Your kidneys will concentrate your urine overnight, which is normal and healthy. Morning dehydration is easily remedied by drinking when you wake up. Question 2. What if I'm genuinely thirsty in the evening? Small sips are fine, but often evening thirst is habit, not genuine physiological need. If you're consistently very thirsty in the evening, you're probably not hydrating adequately during the day. Fix the daytime pattern, and evening thirst typically resolves. Question 3. How long until I see results? Most men notice improvements within 1 to 2 weeks as their bladders begin adjusting to the new pattern. Full retraining typically takes 6 to 8 weeks. Be patient and consistent. Your bladder didn't become dysfunctional overnight. It won't heal overnight. Question 4. What about coffee and other beverages? Coffee is a diuretic and bladder irritant. Include it in your fluid calculations, but recognize it will stimulate urination more than water. Ideally, limit coffee to morning hours only. Avoid all caffeine after 2 p.m. Alcohol is even worse. Avoid it entirely if you have significant bladder symptoms. Let me give you a 30-day implementation plan. Days 1 to 7, pattern establishment. This week, focus on implementing the timing. Front-load fluids to morning and afternoon. Stop all meaningful intake by 6 p.m. Track your nighttime urination. Most men see reduction in nighttime trips even in this first week. Days 8 to 14. Eliminate just-in-case urination. This week, consciously resist urinating unless you feel moderate urge. This is challenging at first because the habit is so ingrained. But stick with it. Your bladder begins relearning normal capacity. Days 15-21. Discrete sessions, no constant sipping. If you've been a constant sipper, this week you transition to drinking in discrete 8-ounce sessions every 2 to 3 hours. Put the water bottle away, drink, then wait. Your bladder starts experiencing proper fill-empty cycles. Days 22 to 30, bladder training. Practice waiting when you feel mild urgency. Gradually increase the time you can comfortably hold. By day 30, most men have regained significant bladder control and capacity. The scientific evidence supporting this protocol is extensive. A landmark study published in the British Journal of Urology examined timed voiding and bladder training in men with overactive bladder. After 12 weeks, 71% showed significant improvement in symptom scores, 68% reduced daytime frequency, and 63% reduced nighttime urination. Another study in neurourology and urodynamics on fluid timing and nighttime urination found that men who stopped fluid intake 2 hours before bed reduced nocturia episodes by an average of 1.8 trips per night, a 45% reduction. Research on bladder training demonstrates that the bladder can be retrained at any age. Even men in their 70s and 80s show significant improvements when they implement consistent bladder training protocols. Here's the truth that could transform your life, gentlemen. Your bladder problems might not be about your prostate, your age, or some irreversible condition. They might be about the hydration habits you've unknowingly developed that have trained bladder dysfunction. The constant urgency, the frequent bathroom trips, the nighttime awakenings, they're not inevitable. They're the result of patterns that can be changed. Front-load your hydration. Stop evening drinking. Eliminate constant sipping. Stop just-in-case urination. Retrain your bladder to hold normal capacity. I've seen men who were prisoners to their bladders, who couldn't travel, couldn't sleep, couldn't enjoy life, regain complete freedom by simply changing how they drank water. No medications, no procedures, just correcting the patterns that created the problem. Your bladder is trainable. The question is whether you'll train it toward dysfunction or toward normal, healthy function. The choice is yours, and it starts with how you drink water today. So here's my challenge. For the next 30 days, implement this hydration protocol exactly. Track your symptoms, notice how your bladder responds, and come back to share your results in the comments. I guarantee that if you're consistent, you'll experience improvements that prove your bladder problems weren't inevitable. They were created by habits you can change. If this video revealed the hydration mistakes destroying your bladder, hit that like button and share this with every man suffering unnecessarily. Subscribe for more protocols that give you real solutions. I'm Dr. Katherine Miller, and remember, you are not powerless against bladder dysfunction. You're not destined for constant urgency and nighttime disasters. You have control through the simple but powerful act of drinking water the right way.
Stop destroying your bladder with poor hydration habits. Start retraining it toward normal function. Your sleep, your freedom, and your quality of life depend on the changes you make today, gentlemen. Drink smart, retrain your bladder, live freely. It starts right now.